Hello everyone. So let's check out the latest updates from Ukraine's special military operation in Kursk. We're going to start with what I think is the most interesting bit of news from the region. So, this video here, which was shared online, shows that Russia too thinks that the nuclear power plant in Kursk is Ukraine's end goal here. This was recorded by somebody going past in a car. So, this shows an excavator hastily digging some trenches near the power plant. So, Russia now making plans to defend it. Now, I tried auto-translating this clip on Capwings app, but when I export the file, the subtitles don't show up. So basically it says, roughly translated here by me. Here they are being built all over Kursk region. Climbers are working. A huge endless line of anti-tank ditches. This is where the Ukrainians are next, or rather the enemy, because it's not just Ukrainian. That bit is quite interesting. So, is the driver referring to the Freedom for Russia Legion who are working alongside Ukrainians here? Or is Russian media saying that NATO troops are involved here? We all know NATO lives rent free in Russia's head. A ship is sunk, they say NATO was involved. Ukraine destroys a SAM system, NATO is involved. There's a bad harvest, NATO is involved. Russia destroys a shopping centre, it's somehow a NATO headquarters. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Russians think NATO is here too, in Kursk, alongside Ukraine. So, I'm going to use Svoboda's map for the geolocation, as it shows the location of the power plant. The car was headed east towards Kursk. So, you can see the trench was being constructed on the south side of the east to west road. This is near one of Ukraine's pushes north. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if construction work isn't occurring all along that road, and Russia's plan is to establish big, hastily built defensive lines along the entire E38 road to stop Ukraine from capturing it. Even if Ukraine doesn't reach the power plant, or even if that isn't Ukraine's end goal here, reaching the E38 would be bad news for Russia. Ukrainian control of that road would effectively cut off key settlements such as Krupets, Rilsk, Lagov from Kursk and the east, basically meaning that the odds are very high that they too will be captured by Ukraine. Now, let's check out our next videos. Firstly here, a video which was shared showing Ukrainians capturing a T-72B3 tank in a makeshift storage position or dugout. No location was given, but it's somewhere in Kursk, I believe near Sudzha. Interestingly, you can see the logo on the tank, but this once belonged to Russia's airborne forces. So, this is a nice little addition to Ukraine's armed forces here. On Oryx, which tracks equipment losses, that shows that 298 T-72s have been captured by Ukraine so far. I believe that's actually more than have been sent by any other nation. So Russia contributing a fair bit to Ukraine's own armed forces there. This video here gives us a new idea as to how far Ukraine has pushed. So it's Russia sharing a strike on what they claim to be a Ukrainian position in the forest. We can see what look to be vehicles in the area, but it's impossible to tell what they are. There aren't many of them. I think this is likely a raiding party or reconnaissance or something like that. The missile, which is said to be an Iskander, successfully destroyed some trees. Well done, I guess. This is in this forest here, and you can see, zoomed out, that this is about 25 kilometers from the border. This is near a settlement called Semenovka. This is here on Svoboda's map, just to the west of a settlement. It's likely, given the Ukrainian vehicle presence, that that settlement has been captured, but this could just be scouting elements. If this is part of a larger force, then it looks like maybe an attempt to perhaps encircle the small settlement of Anastivka, which you can see here was reported to have been the site of a skirmish involving tanks and Bradleys, according to the admittedly not very reliable Russian sources. Here another Russian shared video, showing a strike on what is claimed to be Ukraine's new command post for the 22nd Mechanized Brigade. Seems a bit of a stretch by Russia here, and I'm not sure why they shared this video as a win, because the Iskander, what's the word here? Misses. This could be used by Ukraine, who knows, or it could just be Russia doing what they do best. Here is the geolocation, which shows this to actually be the location of a children's camp. So, actually, a pretty normal target for Russia there. They've progressed from hitting children's camps and schools and nurseries and children's hospitals in Ukraine to hitting children's camps in Russia. You can see here this is quite a way south of Sudzha. Now, we already knew that this area was already controlled by Ukraine, but if Ukraine was using this building, then it is a bit of a further confirmation. Now, we've seen the latest combat videos, so let's have a look now at some new territorial changes and reports along the front lines. We're going to start with the information that we have photo evidence for first, before getting to unconfirmed reports and rumours. This photo, which was shared last night, shows a Ukrainian soldier approaching a church in a settlement called Makhnovka. Here is a geolocation, so pretty much in the centre of a settlement. Here zoomed out, you can see that this is south of Sudzha. Interestingly, Russian sources were claiming that Ukraine had failed to cross the river. Clearly not the case anymore, as this settlement is on the eastern side of the river, you can see. Switching to Svoboda's map, this area isn't updated yet to show a Ukrainian presence here. Yesterday in my last video, we also saw Ukrainian forces in nearby Dmitrikov, so seems pretty clear there's a Ukrainian presence here over the river. Now, I don't think we can say that Ukraine has captured the settlement. As shown here, are reported skirmishes taking place west of it. So I would say for certain Ukraine has crossed the river, but the area still lightly contested. So this is an area we will need to keep an eye on in the future. Moving away from the ones we have video and photo evidence for, here's a report shared yesterday, saying that Ukrainian forces have entered and now partially control the settlements of Snagost and Plekovo. It also shows the extent of Ukraine's control in Kursk so far, between 450 to 550 square kilometres. Now this isn't new information as such. Svoboda's map here shows the location of Plekovo and shows it as being entered by Ukraine on the 9th. But I think it's contested rather than controlled, most likely, as right there is a marker showing battles and skirmishes taking place. Snagost is shown on Svoboda's as having a firm Ukrainian presence as of August the 8th, but in the surrounding areas, we can see markers showing new reported skirmishes. Moving on, Russian telegram pages here report on Ukraine entering the Bolovsky district of Kursk. I think this is quite a shaky rumour. The post seems quite panicky, saying tanks, a lot of equipment with personnel are coming and going in different directions. Bolovsky is the district here. You can see pretty much south of Sudzha, where the main part of a special military operation is taking place. Svoboda's map does show Ukraine crossing the border in the uppermost part of Bolovsky on the 9th. So I don't know if this report is referring to reinforcements being sent there to support this crossing, if Ukraine has breached the border a little further south. You can see that this area borders Belgrade, shown by the dotted line. No photos or videos were shared. To me, the claims about a lot of tanks and equipment seems more to be Russians in panic mode than anything. Could be there were small-scale crossings and infiltrator teams operating here, but I've seen nothing at all to suggest a major one. And I do think we would have seen some sort of photo or video if Ukraine crossed this region in force as claimed. Final video before we have a look at some maps. This shows a Russian BM-21 Grad in Kursk engaging Ukrainian positions, shared on a Russian Telegram page. So Russia has bought rocket artillery to the region. Blinsker on Twitter geolocated this a bit in between Bolshoi and Levshino. This is the area shown here. So that push along the road here was either halted just north of Sudzha, or most likely was never intended to be a big rapid push anyway. It was more infiltrator units sent along it to cut off reinforcements trying to reinforce Sudzha, while Ukraine consolidated its positions around that settlement first. Maybe once Sudzha and the surrounding settlements are fully under Ukrainian control, Ukraine may then push up this route. So that's a short clip, but I think this is a pretty important piece of the puzzle. So not as much happening yesterday as the past few days. Russia seems to have stabilised the front lines in Ukraine's push here somewhat. However, Ukraine did gain ground, it seems, south of Sudzha and cross the river. So that's definitely an area to keep an eye on. The key takeaway, I think, is Russia reinforcing the nuclear power plant with defensive positions, and Ukraine advancing to positions south of Sudzha. Ukraine has also gained more territory near Koronovo though, which is hard to see on this map because of all the markers. So let's zoom in. So the area highlighted in brown, Ukrainian troops have consolidated and are holding positions in the forested area south of Koronovo. So, if accurate and reading between the lines here, it seems to me that Ukraine reached the outskirts of Koronovo on the 8th, encountered strong resistance and were forced away from the town initially, but since then have advanced into the forest and secured it. A link to this map is in the description so you can check it for yourself. But Ukraine is still pushing towards Koronovo. The advance though has just slowed after the initial big gains. Before we finish, I also want to take a look here. So this is a major road heading southeast, highlighted in dark purple and marked as a mined area. I actually hadn't covered this before, and I don't know why, because it's an important piece of the operation. So I'll cover it now. You can see that on August the 7th, Ukraine remotely mined it, likely with Rams artillery deployed mines. The US sent a fresh batch of Rams mines a couple of days ago, so hopefully some of these head here. Rams mines, remember, were used in Vuhledar to great effect. This here though is a big major road which leads up to the Sudzha area. So Ukraine has effectively cut off Sudzha and the surrounding settlements from reinforcements coming from the south along here, at least until Russia carries out an extensive demining operation. You can see here that leads to key settlements of Giria, Belaya, and eventually the Belgrade region. So quite a good move by Ukraine here. So that's it for this video. Not as much to discuss as last time, but still some interesting things here. Hope you found the video interesting. Now, before I finish, I'm going to play a video from Cars for Ukraine. The donation link is in the description. Big thanks to everybody who's helped out so far. Thanks so much, and take care, everybody.
Hi folks, I'm driving a Sun Patrol. Amazing car. One owner for the last 12 years. That's one of the first vehicles we bought for medics of the 3rd Assault Brigade. Loading into a lorry today en route to Ukraine. It's already stacked up with some supplies, traveling with it. So stay tuned, there will be more.